Hello, 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 everybody. It's your girl, Ashley, the amateur expert, coming to you live today for this episode of Talk Tuesday. And if I can be honest, today is a tough day. I feel like it's harder these days to get inspired and be inspiring. But I'm hoping that through this interview, we will have some fun and, shake all that sadness or whatever it was away. So, we are going to be, thanks Renee. I actually just watched it with my new Mael package that came in. So today we're going to be interviewing Nadine of Entice the Brand, and she is in the room, so we will get started. If this is your first time listening, the idea of the show is to discuss career path and ideas of success and the tips and motivators in the way. So let's get started. Hey, my boy Jason just popped in. Congratulations, Dr. Ellis. Hey, Nadine, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for
I'm
having me.
absolutely happy to have you on the show today. So, if you could please introduce yourself, tell us who you are and what you do currently for work.
Absolutely. So, my name is Nadine. I am a women's empowerment mentor. That's something that I've been doing part time now for a little over a year. Before that, I was like starting up little businesses here and there as an entrepreneur. I just have a passion for creating and I
Love
love
it.
helping people. So becoming a women's empowerment mentor was the next best step. And it's something that I've been doing part time and going to be moving into doing it more on a full time basis coming
Love
very
it.
soon. So I'm excited about that. And I just empower women to step into their power, to get connected to their higher selves, to find out what their purpose is, and to help them become more independent mentally, emotionally, and financially.
I love that. So, when you were a little girl, what did you want to be when you grew up? Like, what was your ideal career, and what was the motivating factor behind that?
When I was little, things were very different in my mind about what I thought I could do, and I wanted to be a singer, oddly enough.
Okay, and
Everyone wanted,
why?
well, everyone wanted me to be a lawyer because I used to
Mm-hmm.
talk a lot and I was really good at debating.
Uh-huh.
But I just had a passion for music and I used to listen to music all the time. And I find that music is so healing and
Mm,
you can listen to one song and it can change your whole life.
for
So
sure.
I was obsessed with singing. I used to take my little Avon, if you remember, like back in the day, the Avon roll ons, that was my
Yes,
phone. And I would just walk around with it and belt out every tune that I knew.
I love that. And so, um, you did not become a singer, or did you?
Well, I didn't become a singer. Basically, and here's the thing why I'm so big on women's empowerment because when I was little, I loved singing so much, but the feedback was, oh, you're too loud. When you, well, I come from like a Jamaican family, and
Okay.
people would say to me, like, um, I'm just trying to translate in my head, basically, like, when you actually get the opportunity to do that, you're not going to enjoy doing it. So there's a lot of
Mm,
dream killers in my community, and it just made me feel like I couldn't do it. Right. So what was interesting enough is that my mom, she's always supported me and pushed me. So I did end up singing in church and I was
okay.
like on the worship team and I love doing that. But professional singer, no, I never ended up doing that. I got so much stage fright after like hearing all that negativity. Like we harbor that in our minds and our
For
souls,
sure.
right? So I went a little bit of a different path, but something that someone did point out to me, which is so true, is that I am still using my voice, maybe not to sing, but to empower others and to share information and my experiences to help people
Yeah.
step outside their comfort zone and do things that make them happy.
Right. That's so good. And also maybe it's um you're remembering that because you weren't able to do so, you want to empower others to do the same.
Exactly.
Um, and so when you were younger, what did you think success was?
When I was younger, success was just being around people that you love. Because for me, one of the things that I noticed a lot is with my mother, my grandmother, my grand aunt, they were always constantly working, right?
Mm,
And they were working like double shifts and two jobs just to put food on the table. And I would just always thought, like, wouldn't it be amazing if they didn't have to work as hard as they're working, and we could spend time together. And I noticed that as I got older and life happens and more bills are coming in, it's like the more that they worked. So success to me was really just being with the people that you love and being able to spend as much time with them as possible.
That's great. And I wonder if that has anything to do with why you're transitioning into entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So if you could, can you just give us the journey from your dreams of wanting to be a singer and then to how you stepped out and you started empowering other people?
Yeah. So one of the things that I remember since I was little, I always used to help people. When I was in school, I would finish my work first, and then I would look around and see who needed help. And then I was over there helping people. Now, the teachers weren't a fan of this. The teachers were like,
Yeah.
okay, get back to your desk. Like, I used to get in trouble for helping people. And I thought it was really strange. But even when I started working, I got my first job when I was 16, like real job, because I used to babysit. And then when I was
Yeah.
16, I went out, I got a real job, which was customer service. So
Where'd you work?
I'm in Canada. So the name of the store is
Okay.
called London Drugs.
Okay.
So it's like a pharmacy, pretty
Okay.
much. I guess it would be similar to, do you guys have
Like a
Rexall?
CVS or
Yeah, CVS.
Walgreens.
Exactly. So I was a cashier, and so I have a lot of experiences, like over, I guess, almost 20 years experience in customer service. So it's something that I've just always enjoyed helping people. So I went to school for marketing. That's actually what I went to school for. And I went to school for business, and I majored in marketing.
Okay.
And I always wondered how I could use my gifts. How could I use my talents? Just because with me loving to create, I get ideas so frequently about different business ideas, or when I see businesses doing things, I'm like, oh, why don't they do this? And they could do this like this. And I can't do all the businesses by myself. So
Right.
I'm like, I need to help other people to be able to see what they're capable of, help them to see that inner vision, right? And help them to take that from the inside and bring it out. And for the longest time, I've been so shy and nervous and considering like what other people are going to say and how other people are going to act, and what if I'm not good enough, and all those negative and limiting beliefs that come into your mind.
Yeah.
And it came to the point where I literally had an epiphany. I had a dark night of the soul experience, and I was like, no, I can no longer keep myself small. And with me not stepping into my purpose and helping people, I'm not only doing myself a disservice, I'm doing the people that need my help a disservice. So I'm like, no, I'm going to start empowering women. And I'm just going to start by starting this Instagram. And I transitioned my Instagram account, because at first it was a poetry page where I was sharing my poetry. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to help people with marketing. And I was doing that for a little bit, but I'm like, no, I feel like I need to expand. Like this is too narrow. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to empower women to do what they want to do. Like really sit down with someone and tap into what their purpose is. And for me, I know that self-love is something that really got me tuned into my purpose. So I wrote a book called The Self-Love Pack 2.0, and I have been using that whole like infrastructure, I guess is what I should say, of how I've created that self-love pact in the book, and implementing that into like coaching programs, and looking to expand more in that, just to help women to say, you know what, you can do it. Like if there's something that you want to do, you can do it. And my clients joke and they're like, listen, you're actually my personal hype woman.
Aw, that's special. Some people definitely need that.
Exactly, because especially if you don't have a lot of support, because I know for myself growing up, I didn't have that support. So I'm that type of person. If someone's like, okay, I'm thinking about this, I'm not sure. And I'm like, okay, well, first of all, tap into how you're feeling. How does it make you feel? And if it doesn't make you feel good, then let's think about why it doesn't make you feel good. Is it something that you are resisting, or is it something that you just don't find joy in doing? And then from tapping into that, then we can go a little bit further and explore and just get reconnected with your purpose. And once you're connected to your purpose, I will be like, go girl, you can do this. What are you doing today? How does it feel? Like, you can do this. What other options are coming up for you? What else is coming up in your mind? And it feels good, because I didn't have that. And I know for a fact that if I had someone like me in my life when I was younger, I'd be singing somewhere.
Well, it's never too late. You can definitely still be singing or start this singing career if you still have a passion for it.
Yeah.
Do you feel that you are inspired by seeing your clients thrive?
Absolutely, absolutely. One of my clients that I just actually started working with her last month, and some of the things that's been happening in her life, I've been shocked. I'm like, okay, hold up, wait a minute. Like, you are just thriving, and it brings me joy to see other people win. Growing
Mm-hmm.
up, I used to be confused because I would see people get jealous or get upset when they see other people doing things, and they'd be like, it's Jamaicans be like, oh, people are bad mind, right? So they'll have
Mm-hmm.
like this thought process, like, okay, so because you see somebody winning, you're upset. But we
Yeah,
all have the same 24 hours in a day. So maybe you should ask them for advice so that you
for
can win,
sure.
right? And I
Yeah,
love seeing
absolutely.
people win. So when I see other people flourishing, it just motivates me more and inspires me more to be like, okay, this is awesome. This is great. I'm happy for you. How can I make adjustments in my life so I can continue to move forward as well?
That's so good. So we had two comments come in. So one of them said, "Please don't listen to them, the dream killers. They are jealous and they don't have a dream and they aren't comfortable, or and they are comfortable with their lives being bums. I guess maybe that's what I want to say." And then a question just came in. They want to know, how does one get connected to their purpose?
Okay, so what I find is a lot of people, they do things because society tells them to do things, right? So for
Mm,
example, you have bills to pay, so you're going to get up and you're going to do that 9 to 5 job. But then when you go to that job, you hate that job so much, right? And you just wish that you weren't in that job. So when it comes to
right.
being connected to your purpose, it first of all starts from knowing yourself. And a lot of us are disconnected from ourselves. We do things just habitually, just like
Mm-hmm.
our subconscious mind has us in this certain routine, and we just do it without
Yep.
thinking about it. Now, when you get connected to your purpose, it's all about finding out who you really are as a person, what really drives you, what really motivates you, what really inspires you, and spending time in like silence. For me, I love meditation. Meditation is a huge tool to really get connected to yourself and find out what makes you feel good and what makes you happy, because we're in a world where there's advertising everywhere, there's social media everywhere, there's
Sure.
interruptions and distractions everywhere we go. We're driving down the street, there's a billboard, like there's always something going on to influence us. And a lot of times
Yep.
we start doing things because we see someone else doing it. And because we see someone else doing it, we feel like, okay, if they can do it, I can do it. But is that your purpose? Is that what
Mm.
your heart, your soul desires you to do? Right? So when I say connected to your purpose, it's all about really zoning in on what makes you feel good. What is your bliss? And developing that and seeing how you can turn that into something that you can basically make a living off of.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was on a call yesterday and they were saying that a lot of times people are doing things,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't have a passion for it.
Yes.
So if you're not passionate about it, then you don't work as hard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I think that's always something to remember as well. Not only are you looking for your purpose, but whatever your purpose is should be along with some level of passion so it
Yeah,
doesn't feel like work,
exactly.
quote unquote.
And that's
So,
true, because like with
oops,
that
sorry.
quote that says, if you are passionate about what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
And the thing is that it's work. Matter of fact, I believe you work harder when you're passionate about something. You work harder. It's just that it
For
doesn't
sure.
feel like you're
Hmm.
working.
Yeah, no, that's so true. So, so true. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Um, so now that you have sort of developed your career and you're like got your footing down, what is your idea of success now?
My idea of success is pretty much the same, except the only thing that I would add to that is having that financial freedom
Mm,
to be able to do that, because that's something that prevents a lot of us from doing the things that we really want to do, is
yep.
looking and seeing that, okay, well, how am I going to do this? And that is one thing that's really held me back, is just the how, trying to figure out the how. And what I've learned through this whole process is that we're always divinely guided, we're always supported. It's all about tuning in, and once we're connected to that purpose and we found that passion, as you said, that's going to drive us, and that is what's going to open up opportunities. But we have to trust it, and it's hard to trust it because society tells us, well, you need to have the fancy house and you need to have the fancy car and you need to have all the designer brands, where that comes in time. It's first about like tapping into what makes you happy, and being happy is what will open up so many doors for you.
Yeah, and what I think is interesting about your story that you didn't mention is that you started an online boutique without having a computer. And
Yes.
so when it's your calling and when it's what you're supposed to be doing, God always makes provision,
Yes.
and allows it to happen. And so I wanted to mention that because I think that's
Yes.
important, an important
Yes.
part of your story.
It really is. And the thing is, too, is that there's so much that's happened in my life, especially in a short period of time, that sometimes I just even wonder how I got here.
Mm.
When I started my online boutique, it's called LuxXO. I'm in the process of rebranding, so the name is going to change. But when I first started that, the thing that was frustrating is that I got that idea about 6 months or 6 to 8 months before I actually started.
Mm.
And I was fearful because I had an online boutique in 2011.
Okay.
And there were a lot of different mental blockages, mindset changes that I needed to make. And I ended up stopping that business. And when I decided to finally start LuxXO, it was at a point where I didn't have any money, like at all, because I waited so long that the money that I could have used, I spent it on other things.
Right.
My MacBook, which I absolutely love, where I was doing all my graphics and everything on, that crashed.
Oof.
And I was like, okay, so how am I even going to do this? And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just literally start an Instagram page. And this is why I love Instagram. It's bae when it comes to social media, because I just started an Instagram page. And at first, I was just thinking about, okay, I need to make money. I need to make money. And I was not getting anywhere. And when I said, you know what? It's not about the money. It's about stepping into my purpose. It's about doing something that I love, and it's about helping people. So what do people need right now? And when I shift my focus, my account started growing. I started getting people who were doing graphics for like popular Instagram people coming to my page and be like, sis, your graphics are popping. I'm like, sis, if you only knew that this was an app and not Photoshop, you would be like, what is going on here? So it's hard sometimes because you're thinking about what everyone else is going to think. But when you really trust yourself and you trust that you're always being guided and you're always protected, and what is for you, you just got to take the leap sometimes.
And so that leads me to the next question. What is something that you've learned or you're still in the process of learning that you wish you had learned sooner?
Act now.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the biggest thing, because even for myself, I say that I'm a recovering perfectionist.
Same.
And it's like, I like things to be a certain type of way. And if it's not a certain type of way, it makes me feel like it's not good enough and it's incomplete. And honestly, when you get that idea, there's a reason why you're getting that right now. Like when that thought comes, write it down and don't say, okay, I can't do this, because I ask yourself, how can I do this? And literally, when you take one step, and every day just take one step in the right direction, you'll notice opportunities open, and you'll be like, wow, like how? You'll ask yourself how, because we're always trying to figure out the how. But what I've come to realize is if you know the what and you know the why, the how will happen.
Ooh, that is good. I like that. And I think I'm going to meditate on that because I wrote that for the past 2 days in my journal. How?
Yes.
God, how? You've given me this vision. How? So thank you
You're welcome.
for that. That was a level of confirmation for me today. So along your journey, what have been some of the tips and motivators that you've used?
Okay, so for me, one of my favorite people in like a marketing perspective is Gary Vaynerchuk.
Okay.
Like, because he really makes you think. He's one of those people that will push you past your limits, and he'll make you really examine yourself and be like, okay, so I have an excuse, but why do I have an excuse? Because he's like a multi-millionaire, and he still goes to the thrift store, and he still goes to garage sales, and he finds ways to create another stream of income. He doesn't need another stream of income, but he does it to show people what's possible. And a lot of times what prevents us from moving forward is our ego. We have this thought because we want to be viewed in a certain light. We want people to look at us and see something. And ultimately, what people think about you, first of all, it's none of your business what people think about you.
None.
And secondly, other people's opinions, do they pay your bills? Like somebody's thought about who you are and what you do and your path in life is not going to pay any of your bills at all.
Right.
So it's all about recognizing what you need to do and seeing how you can make a way, right? And a lot of times, like going back to not knowing the how and just thinking, okay, so this is what I want to do. This is the reason why I want to do it. What is the first step, right? And sometimes the first step, like say, for example, if you want to start a business and you have zero capital, sometimes the first step is just opening up an Instagram account. Sometimes the first step is to get capital by garage sailing, right? So I love Gary Vee for that. Super, super inspiring. And my mom is like one of my biggest motivators in life because she believes in me. I could tell her that I'm going to start like the most absurd business and she'll ask me some questions, first of all, to like make sure that I'm not completely out of my mind. And if I give her enough substance to say, well, this is why I was thinking about that, then she'll be like, okay, well, you know, you are strong, you are smart, and you can do anything that you put your mind to. So if you can figure out a way to do it, like, how can I support you? How can I help you? And that's one thing I love the most about my mom, because she is super supportive, like the most supportive person in my life. And she has motivated me a lot, and she is my why. I'm like starting to get emotional, but like
I'm trying not to.
She
trying
is my
not to
why,
with you.
right? At the
That's
end of the day.
amazing.
So I think that's like my biggest motivator. And like I said, Gary Vee, because I feel like he checks you and he's like, okay, so like what's your purpose? Like, what are you trying to do? And those are the two that came up to me. Like, there's millions and millions of people on Instagram that I love and I appreciate. But when you ask the question, those are the two that came to mind instantly.
And the passion and sort of just like that warmness that you felt, or I felt from you telling me that your mom is your biggest motivator. I feel like that is what you're giving to your clients. And I'm so excited for them to be able to have someone in their corner. And I'm certain that they are thriving the way they are because you're so passionate about it and you have someone in your corner who was your guide. And so that's super cool. So you are, like you said, you wrote your book. What was the motivating factor behind doing that?
So after I closed my first business, there was a lot of things going on in my mind. I had a huge scarcity mindset. Like, it was terrible because I felt guilty. Like, I was making money. I'm like sleeping. I wake up. Oh, there's money in the bank account. And I felt guilty. I'm like, I'm not working hard enough. And I'm like, okay, I need to start bringing more value. And I'm like, okay, something's wrong here. I'm like, there's too much going on in my head. I need to stop this. There was a lot of things happening in my life personally as well. And I'm like, you know what? I am going to go down a path of self-discovery. And I started getting more and more into personal development, reading a lot of books. And I ended up doing some leadership seminars with John Maxwell, virtual seminars with him. He's amazing. I think he is the top leadership expert in the world. So if you have not checked out like any John Maxwell books, definitely check it out, because it will really help you to empower yourself as well. So I went down that road of like personal development, and I decided, you know, I'm going to start working on myself. So around that same time, there was a lady I used to watch on YouTube. So I used to sew, and well, I still do sew sometimes, but her name is Misha, and she was such a light to like the community on YouTube, and she used to do tutorials and things like that. And she ended up being like murdered by her ex-husband. And they had children together, and the children were in the house, and he went up in there in the middle of the night and he murdered her. And then he just walked out and left his kids. And I was like, what kind of person does this? And it was so disturbing to me. And the thought that kept coming to me is that the world needs more love. And I'm like, okay, yes, definitely. But you can't force someone to have more love. So how are you going to do that? And it starts with me. And that was one of my favorite quotes, is that it starts with me. So I need to learn how to love myself. And when I learn to love myself properly, then I can teach other people to learn how to love themselves. And it kind of creates like a ripple effect, because I honestly believe that you loving yourself, it changes the way you view things. It changes the way you do things. It changes the way you treat other people. And it inspires people to like really get in touch with themselves, right? And when you get in touch with yourself and you see love differently and you know how you want to be loved, then you know that in order to receive that type of love, you need to first give it to yourself. And secondly, give it to others. So that's why I created the self-love pack. It used to be yearly. I created it on YouTube. I just had like a YouTube video. I would put out a YouTube video. I had a little workbook, and I did it 2 years in a row. And then I was like, why am I only doing this around, because I used to do it like in Valentine's Day, around that time in February, because I'm like, single people, like, we definitely need love. I was single at the time, and I was like, we need love, and we keep looking for it outside of ourselves. So this is the perfect time to do it. So it was just once a year, and I'm like, but why am I waiting once a year when self-love is something that needs to be talked about all the time? So I turned it into a book, and it's like really simple and easy. It's beginner friendly. So it allows people to ease into it. And what's beautiful about it is that once you get to the end of the book, you can do it in like, it's a really short read. You could read the whole book in a day. But if you do the steps and you actually do the exercises and spend like a week per exercise, it can transform your life like tremendously. And it is beautiful, because at the end of that 6-week time frame, you'll really start to look at things differently, and you'll see how things start changing in your life. And a lot of people have come back to me and they're like, honestly, this was like one of the best $12 I've ever spent.
And this is available on Amazon, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll make sure I put that in the show notes. And maybe, as a matter of fact, I think I'll do a giveaway. So I'll buy one and give one to one of our listeners next week, or I'll figure out the details. But awesome. That sounds like definitely what we need right now with everything that's going on in the world. So I'll definitely do that. Someone asked for book recommendations while you were talking about John Maxwell.
Okay. So John Maxwell, I can't remember the name of the book because I haven't read it for a while. It's in my living room. But for a general book recommendation, the book that I recommend everybody read is called
Beyond Your Own. Fear. After they read yours.
Yes, after they read mine. Is Feel the Fear and Do It Anyways by Susan Jeffers. Feel the Fear and Do It Anyways by Susan Jeffers. And the other John Maxwell book, I will get that and I will send it to you so you can add it to
the show notes
for a specific like John Maxwell, because he has written hundreds of books, and pretty much any book by him is gold. But this one by Susan Jeffers, I recommend that to everyone. I lent it to my mom, and she's reading it right now. And honestly, that book, especially if you are looking for the how, or you're really scared to do anything, that book will change your perspective. I read that book before I ended up starting LuxExo. So
really? Okay.
I recommend it.
So this interview was right on time, because I am definitely in that space right now. So I'm happy that we're having this conversation. And the interesting thing is that this was booked, 2 months ago? So it's funny how God just knows what he's doing.
Divine timing.
Divine timing. So Michaela asked the name of your book.
It's called The Self-Love Pack 2.0.
Okay. And Michaela, I'll put it in the show notes. The link will be there later tonight. Nadine, this has been just what the doctor ordered. And I'm so happy that we did this. So as we're wrapping up, I am the amateur expert and claim to know a little bit about a lot. And although you have dropped many a gem on this interview, I can't wait to play it back for my own self. Can you share with me a random fact, tidbit of information, or, just something interesting?
Something interesting. Okay. So I have a monthly membership program, and I was writing our module for this month. And one of the things, like one of the epiphanies that I had while writing it, was that when it comes to giving and receiving, the law of giving and receiving is a very important law. And a lot of us have no problems giving, but we have a lot of problems receiving.
Yes.
So one of the gems,
yes.
One of the gems that I will put out there for you is that when we give something, we have this like martyr mindset that when we give something, we shouldn't want something in return. We should be like, okay, I'm giving this and I'm giving it out of the goodness of my heart. And it's like we block ourselves to that receiving because we don't want it to look like we're giving just to get back. But here's something I want you guys to marinate on for a little bit.
Hold on, let me turn this volume up so I can hear you loud and clear. Okay, I'm ready.
So when you give something, you should want something back. The difference is who you want it back from. Just because you give, for example, if I give you something, I should give that freely and open-heartedly to you because I want to help you and I want to support you and I want to give you that. And it could be time, it could be information, it could be money, whatever, because giving, everything is energy. Let's talk about that first, because a lot of people think money is like this physical, tangible thing because that's what we see. But money is actually an IOU. Like it's just a form to say, okay, I owe you, here you go. Like here's the currency. But ultimately it's energy. Even the word currency means energy. So whenever you give someone something, you give it to them with a free heart, but you do need to stay open to receiving, but you need to be open to receiving from other sources. So just because I give you something, I don't want anything necessarily back from you in that moment that I'm giving it to you. I'm giving it to you open-heartedly, but I need to be open to receive because God is always giving gifts. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, good.
So if you tap in and you like, I'm giving this to you and I'm going to give you as much as I can give because I know that I'm divinely guided. I know that I'm divinely provided for. So I can give you all of this because I know that there's abundance. I know that there's more. I know that God is always providing for me.
So good.
If you think about that, you'll probably want to give more because you're like, oh, God's got me here. Take this, take this. And it's really going to change the way you view giving and receiving.
Love that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So much. No, seriously. This is exactly what I needed today. I was in a crappy mood all day. And so I'm thankful for this, thankful for you. I'm happy that we are connected. Now, I want to give you this time to share what you offer, how people can follow you, give it listed all down, all of the things.
Okay, so I'm on Instagram. This is my favorite place to be. It's like my home away from home. So you can follow me on Instagram at Entice The Brand. I have a website as well called www.enticeththebrand.com. For anybody that meditates, I have one guided meditation available right now on Insight Timer, which is my most favorite app ever. So you can just search for my name, Nadine Russell, and you can find that meditation. It's a self-love meditation. So if you're someone that's just starting your self-love journey, those same meditations are inside the Self-Love Pack 2.0. It's just an audio version. So that way you can just wake up in the morning, you can play it. You can play it before you go to bed. So, you have those affirmations in your mind. The next thing is that if you are wanting to work with me, I do have a monthly membership program. The doors closed yesterday, but because I love you, if you are wanting to join, I did a founding member launch and it's just $14.99 to join monthly. And that's billed monthly. There's no contracts or anything like that. So if you join and it's not really your cup of tea, you can cancel, no problem. And then another way to work with me is through the Self-Love Pact framework. I do the Radiant Woman mentorship, and it is a 6-week mentorship program originally, but I'm going to be changing that to 3 months. And that's another way that you can work with me. If you're someone that's really trying to find your purpose and tap into what you can do to move your life forward and to just remove some internal blockages and shift your mindset and increase your emotional stability, I highly recommend that program. I haven't opened up the doors to it yet, but I will be opening up some spots in July. And then we also have the lifestyle design program, and that's more of a custom program where I can put in certain aspects for you, just because, like yourself, I know what you said about you being the amateur expert, you know a little bit about a lot of things. And I feel that vibe because, yeah, I know a lot about a lot of things, but then I know a little about some other things as well. So
Yeah.
the lifestyle design program is something that I'm really excited to launch. And I think that's all the goods. That's all the goods
All
for
the goods. I love it. And so I'll have all this information in the show notes. Again, so excited that we have this call. I'm feeling much better, motivated, and I'm going to concentrate on the how, but also just doing one step at a time.
Yes.
So thank you again for all of this. Excited to see where, how your career progresses over the next couple of months. And yeah, I hope that we get you some new clients. And thank you all for listening. This was great. And I hope you guys tune in on Friday. We're having a Asking for a Friend episode that's going to be good. And yeah, I'm just feeling so much better. I literally started this like, guys, I don't know, but I'm happy. So
Yeah.
thank you again, Nadine. This is perfect.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you opening up your platform to have
Thank you.
me on it. And I love what you're doing, and keep it up.
Thank
You're
you.
doing amazing. And thank you guys so much for listening. I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys have an amazing day. And my DMs are always open. So don't be afraid to slide in the DMs with questions. I try to create content based off of what my audience needs at that time. So if you ever like slide in the DMs and say, hey, sis, like, what are your thoughts on this? Then I can kind of create some content around that to help you.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
This like I just don't even know what else to say. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys have a good night, and we will see you soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks, guys.